Hey gang, so if any of you had watched my video about the Sonic Cake A factory acoustic preamp about a week ago, and I had put together a pretty reasonable board for the purpose so that it wouldn't be too crazy expensive when I demonstrated it for you, so anybody out there could pretty much replicate it. But then when I went further on in the last week, I was like, well, there's some things I want, there's some things I need to do for my own live set because I'm getting back out to play next year and moving across the pond to Europe. And I did some stuff, and I want to just demonstrate that for you real quick. Here's the new configuration. Not that much different. It's still got the source audio EQ, and in place of the really inexpensive Sonic Cake modulation mini pedal, I've replaced it with the Beetronics Seabee. And the reason I did that is because I could really dial in more of my own, you can have a preset that you really are in love with perfectly, and it also has many other sounds. For instance, I've programmed not just a chorus, which I use on a few songs, which is what I was using the little Sonic Cake Mini for, which is only 55 bucks, by the way. That's a steal. But this one, the Seabee, the Harmonious Seabee by Beetronics, I've programmed a vibe preset. I've programmed a filter-ish preset because one of the hardest things to do with acoustic guitar is filter, because the acoustic guitar's got much more attack in, when you're playing, and the peaks are different. And I just couldn't find a filter pedal that worked for me. And I still haven't really, but I've got the Seabee programmed for a filter-ish thing. And then I've even got one for a real crazy preset just to do crazy sounds. Don't know if I'll use that one, but it's there. And I think it has up to 16 presets I could program, but I've just got 4. I just went with 4 that I can click through really easily up and down. So that replaced the Sonic Cake and and the LVX. So what am I using the LVX for? Well, the LVX I have, and I put these presets up for free before. You can find that video. If you have a Meris LVX, one is, so I've got a reverse preset, I've got a microcosm preset, I've got a therme preset, but I've also now just programmed a Rev Mode C, a Chase Bliss Empress Rev Mode C, because if you saw that last video, I had a Rev Mode C on the board, but I was like, wait a second, I need to do a lot more than that, and that's where the LVX comes in. I've also got a filtered multi-tap, and I've also got a long sort of echoplexy delay thing if I ever want it. I might even have a few more things on here, but generally speaking, I'll be, within 4 to 6 different presets almost all the time. However, what the LVX did, and you'll notice, wait, there's no compressor, right? Right, because I did a shootout with compressors, and while the LVX compressor is sort of limiting in a way because you don't get different styles of compression, it is highly tweakable as far as ratio and threshold and gain and mix, etc. And that came in handy. Normally, I wouldn't put it that far back in the chain. However, it's before the delay and after the source audio Zio preamp. So it's making a small consolation, a small compromise, if you will, to have the compressor a little later in the chain, but it sounds great. So anyway, let me play through it real quick so you just hear what I'm doing with it. I'll play the Seabee and the LVX and show you the different presets. And this is the board I will take out, but of course the key thing is the Sonic Cake $60 A factory acoustic preamp is still on the board. I mean, So again, this is a 14 by 11 board. It fits in my carry-on, so the airlines can't mess it up. All I got to do is check my guitar, and I have an amazing bulletproof SKB case with TSA locks on it for that. Hopefully that will survive. All right, let's take a look at this. And by the way, I put up my preset for the Source Audio EQ2 up in their Neuro Cloud, if you have one. The only thing different that I changed since putting it up in the cloud is I've put the low cut, because you can put on an input low cut at 80 hertz. And I put on the limiter with look ahead just to avoid any nasty clipping before the compressor in the LVX. But that preset otherwise is up there. And I also put up my Source Audio compressor presets, like 4 of them, 3 or 4 of them, so you can get those as well. They're under the name Shikawkee, Shikawkee. That's me. All right, let's check this out, all right? As always, all audio is direct into my interface from the board, direct into Pro Tools. There's no processing. Here's the unaffected sound. Well, here's the sound without the, let me turn down the other. So here's the straight board with the compressor and the EQ, but the LVX reverb and the Beetronics Seabee harmonious thingy thing off. So here we go. Let's turn on the Rev Mode C on the LVX. And I have it on in tails. So, and the compressor settings, the preamp settings are all the same for all the LVX presets that I use with my acoustic. Now let's check out, this is like a straight, I could use this on any song. I call it a reverb enhancer, but it's like a delay that sort of quickly comes back on itself with some diffusion and spread and other miracles in the LVX, but it's sort of unobtrusive at the same time. But like, for instance, if you hear the reverb here, and now I'll put that preset on, it's like a reverb enhancer, but it's a delay. There's a quick tail. I don't know how I did it, but I love it. So anyway, it's the poly setting, but in a standard, it's poly, but BBD, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And the great thing is to keep, if I don't want that at all, I just reach over and turn the mix down, and I'm still getting the compressor and all the other goodies that I programmed in the LVX. This is the microcosm preset for my acoustic. So that's set how I used to use my microcosm, or at least one of my main presets for the microcosm. And more importantly, it might come in handy when I'm playing acoustic live. And then let me switch banks. This is the filtered multi-tap. And then this is the tapey sort of Echoplex, as close as I could get. It's not great, but it's close-ish. With a lot of modulation. So there you have that. And I won't go through every preset, but those are the main ones that I would use in a live set. I also have one that sounds like an organ, and a swirly, really swirly one, but I'm not sure where I'd use those yet. But I think the swirly one, if it's not a factory patch, it's a patch someone put up on patch storage, I think. Anyway. Let's play with the Seabee. So here's without it. And here's my chorus. A really tasteful, modest, slightly chorusy chorus. And of course you got the ramp function. Just by pressing a button. This is my vibe, which is slightly richer than the chorus, and it's got a tiny bit of dry, which most vibes don't have, but I wanted it so I can get the attack. And you get a little rotor thing going on when you hit the ramp. So that's the vibe. This is the filter E thing. Kind of like a stepped filtery thing. Let's see what the ramp does. Crazy, man. And the last preset. kind of like a stepped ARP-y filter thing, because it does have the ARP kind of thing in there. So, you know, it's really great. I love having that flexibility, and that's my board. That's my new acoustic pedal board. I hope you dig it. I know everybody doesn't have the funds to go get an LVX, but for me, since I already owned it, it was fairly simple to program it for acoustic and to replace, well, to save board space really, to replace a compressor with the compressor in the LVX and all the other things it has to offer. So it was totally worth it. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know, all right? Thanks a lot.